Hey there. I hope you're having a good week. It's been an interesting week, if nothing else. I think we live in very interesting times, to say the least. In some ways, extraordinary, and in others, I'm sure for many of us, deeply concerning. Um, I don't know. This last week, it was an eye opener in some ways for me. Our prompt from last week really got me thinking. Um, in a lot of ways about how important it is to listen because our prompt last week was listen quietly. And that's not something we're all good at. Often we have this tendency, I think, to be very much about just getting ready to say whatever thing we think we need to say while somebody is talking. You're kind of only half listening. I think a lot of us do that. I'm totally guilty, by the way. I do it too. We all do. It's just part of I think, our socializing that we just tend to do that. But yeah, it brought me some awareness about how important it really is to pay a lot more attention to listening and shutting off that egoic desire to just interject your own thoughts, your own experiences, your own importance into the conversation. It doesn't have to be about us all the time. And I think actually, the less about us it is, the better it will be. I think it's good when we can direct the conversation toward the importance of what someone else is up to and just hear it, take it in, soak it up, listen to what they have to say, feel that vibe they're putting out there, and really sense their emotional state, their need in that moment, whatever they're sharing with you. What is it that they need? Is there something you can give them? And I think that is such a good question to ask. Is there something I can give right now that might make this person's day better or moment better? um, and because that really got me thinking about how deeply embedded we are in our own egos so often. And I don't think it's our fault. And I don't think the ego is a bad thing necessarily. I mean, it's kind of there just as a survival um, thing. It's what keeps us alive. It keeps us moving forward to keep us safe in terms of, pay attention to that thing because that might not be good for you. It helps you. It's got its place, but it shouldn't be where we operate from all the time. Nor do I really feel like it should be where we operate from most of the time. I think it is good to hear the ego's complaints and concerns and say, all right, valid, hear that, understood, you're scared, it's okay, but now it's time we're going to do something else. Can't let that ego drive the metaphysical bus, so to speak, or else where are you going to be? Are you living in fear all the time, or are you enjoying your life? And I know that these are upsetting, scary times in some ways for many of us because, oh, I know change can be so hard. Oh, but you guys, change needs to happen. We have got to progress. As a entire species, we have got to progress. It is so time for that. We have got to progress. We have got to start being better to the planet so we can frickin' survive on it. We have got to start being better to each other so we can help each other. We have to lift each other up. We have to be kind. We have to realize we are all part of the same species, and it does not matter what color your skin is. We are all here to help each other. The end. It should not matter what your gender is or how you identify. It should not matter what your religion is, if you even have one. It should not matter. Shouldn't matter. We are all human beings. And should we be kind even to a racist? Hard as that may be for us, I am sorry. But yes, we must include all in that all. It can't just be, oh, well, those people who are kind, they get to come along for the ride. No, I'm sorry, but those people who are being the meanest right now are the ones who need the most of our love because they are suffering the most. They are struggling the hardest right now when they are miserable and cannot hack what is going on in life and they are just super unhappy. Oh, my kitty had to come and visit. Look, he heard the energy. Look at this. Here he is. Say hi. Here he is. He had to come say hello. He's such a good boy. He is a sweet cat. He really is. He's such a good kitty. Anyway, ain't you? You're such a good kitty. So, we have this opportunity in this moment to understand and realize that we can choose to accept that we have not done a very good job of loving each other. And it's not necessarily anyone's fault. We are raised with certain ideas, and we then have to figure out whether or not they belong to us, or if they're good for us, or if we need to throw them, kick them to the curb, and say goodbye. We get to decide that as adults, don't we? We even get to decide that as kids. I know when I was a kid, there were things my parents would say, and I'd be like, really? No, I'm not doing that. I really did. As a child, I literally had moments of my life where I went, no, that seems dumb to me. I am not doing that. I just wouldn't comply. And I think that was actually wise of me as a kid at times. There were moments when I defied my parents, and that wasn't wise of me, but there were times when I had some very wise moments and I knew better for myself than my parents knew for me because I knew what I needed, and so do you. We all do. We just don't always listen. And of course, again, also not your fault necessarily. We're taught not to listen to ourselves from, again, a pretty young age. We're told by our teachers and our parents and our parishioners and our, religious leaders and our entire society that we are supposed to listen to somebody else's wisdom all the time and that we can't be responsible for our own happiness, or that we have to rely on others for the way things go in our lives, that we are somehow helpless to change our experiences. Total bullcrap. Totally false. You have all the power to change everything about your experience, no matter where you're from. And I say that as a person who's grown up in abject poverty. I have been homeless. I have suffered every kind of abuse. I have been through some of the worst experiences a human can handle, including torture. Yeah, I have been there. I have done that. I have had bad things happen. And I am here to say that I believe even the pedophile needs you to understand that person on some level needs love and needs to be helped. So if I can say that, so can you. If you haven't suffered that kind of abuse, and I know I have, you can find it in yourself to say, all right, I don't want to be around that person who is that way, but I certainly do appreciate and understand that person needs help. Maybe not from me, but that person needs help. We all have to get the entire human race on board with getting better, or else this doesn't go anywhere. So, this week our prompt is Unravel Ego, and I really want that to be a thing that we consider when we go through our week as a group of us working on these intentions, that I hope that we all really start to develop more of these skills of paying closer attention to our inner experience as well as the outer experience of what is reflected to us in our day. What are you seeing happen as inwardly you recognize the way your behavior goes out into the world around you and then affects the people in your sphere? What happens when you speak from that place of recognition of who you are and what you're doing with a little more clarity and intention, and then, holy crap, you realize, oh, I actually do have a voice that can actually affect this situation in a positive way, and not just say to myself, oh, this awful thing happened, it's such a bad day all the time, and just whine. No, don't do that to yourself. That doesn't serve you. Don't whine. You control what's happening around you in terms of your own benefit and your own behavior, your own thoughts. All of those things are in your control. You can choose to walk away from a conversation you don't like and give yourself a minute to calm down and figure out, what are you going to do about that? Did your ego get out of control again? Or is this a legitimate anger in terms of the way someone unjustly treated you? And what do you need to do for yourself to say, I need to love myself enough to say no to that and not be around it? When you love yourself, you don't want to be part of anything people are doing to hurt you, to dishonor you, or to ignore the boundaries that you set for behavior in your presence. There have to be things you say no to sometimes. It's different for everybody. We all have rules that we feel we must abide by to help us feel happy. Protect your peace, guys. You gotta protect your peace. I got a cat climbing on the chair. I don't know what he thinks he's doing. Check that out, though. I don't know. He's got stuff to say. But with that said, I think I'm finished with my little soapbox for today. And I hope it helps you. And I hope this week you can unravel your ego and find ways through the maze of what our society is becoming. But it's exciting, and it can be whatever you want. If you want peace, start thinking, how does that look to you, and what needs to happen in your life to make it real? If you want other things, think about that, but a lot of it begins with unraveling the ego. Okay, so you guys have a fantastic week, and I hope all is well, and I will see you next Saturday.